Hi Vishal, hi Vijay, hi Manuel. Great to have you guys here.
Hi everyone.
Hey Ujjwal.
Hi. Emmanuel, are you able to speak right now? Okay, I think we'll give Emmanuel a couple of minutes to get settled while we. Okay, I think he's.
Yeah. Hi, good evening all.
Yeah. Yeah. So, thanks. First of all, thank you so much for joining the panel discussion. It is a pleasure to have three of you here. And of course, all of you are looking at different ways in which the media and the users interact, whether it is in terms of or media brands and users interact, whether it is in terms of monetization, whether it is in terms of content consumption. So, Vijay, I wanted to start with you since you look as a part of Flipkart, you look at social media pretty closely, and how monetization is changing. So, just from a broad 30,000 feet view, do you see the user content consumption habits changing fundamentally? When we used to, when I was growing up, right? So we were just starting to use Facebook, right? Or Orkut, and then from Facebook, right? And then the way the content consumption has evolved from there in the last 10-15 years, and now what we see is that there is a stark difference between how a metro user consumes content and how a tier 2 plus user consumes content. So within this context, can you just talk about the broader shifts that you're seeing in content consumption for Indian users?
Absolutely. So, in fact, it's a massive change that we are seeing in the larger user landscape. The first one really is the kind of interaction that people have with these apps, right? So, especially if you look at the early days, right, when you spoke about Orkut, and even when Facebook was getting in, and even very lately when Instagram got in, a lot of this was purpose-driven engagement, which means that I want to share something with my friends. I go on to the social network. I have had a great uh, plate of lunch and I want to put that up and show it to my friends, right? There was always a utility with which you would go on to the platform. However, what we are seeing is that we are slowly seeing a shift towards entertainment completely on these platforms. And we are seeing this blending together of community and entertainment coming together on these platforms. In fact, one of the very interesting things that we've seen is that we are seeing at a very macro level consumer behavior move away from what used to be GC viewing, right, where I would catch up on my regular entertainment. That is being replaced by seeing Insta Reels or Josh, etc. I think that's a massive change. The other larger change that we are seeing is really users becoming creators, because at least when I was growing up, I never had a video cam, in the family, and a lot of my American friends or Western counterparts did have that. Which is why when Facebook started, when Insta started, we were very shy content creators. Even when we as brands ran contests and we give away things like iPhones, etc. Right, but people would still not really go ahead and create. But what this has really done is it's kind of democratized content creation, and that is also resultant in the kind of content that you create and consume. So earlier you had a lot of polished, produced content where brands would also hire a studio and the likes. Every Insta post had to be curated well, but now what you're seeing is you're seeing a lot more content that is relatable. You have people like you and me, which means that the dwell time that I have and the topics that get covered have also evolved significantly. And given the two, which is utility and entertainment coming together and consumption and creation coming together, you're really seeing this turbocharging of content that we are seeing in today's day and age.
No, absolutely. I agree. Vishal, I just wanted to come to you and more as an extension to what Vijay mentioned, right? So, see, when we talk about creators and how they sort of engage with some of these platforms and what kind of opportunities are they able to get as a part of these short form video platforms, whether it is in terms of brand tie ups, whether it is in terms of being able to do product placement, whether it is able to be able to even promote the platform itself, right? So I think can you just give us some flavor of how the creator engagement with the platform or the creator monetization opportunities, are there significant shifts in terms of how they are thinking about monetization in this world?
Sure, thanks, Ujjwal. So, look, what has short form video done to this world? I mean, it's completely opened a new Pandora for the consumers to become famous, right? Today, the consumers got a platform to showcase their talent. They got a platform to really monetize their skill, being a part of now being an influencer and trying to trying to promote all these brands. They also got to see this platform made them see and became an overnight star. Suddenly, someone came and made some good moves, and he became an overnight star. Look, so I think the time spent is again gone up because those 30 minutes that they spend on an app, they believe that anything that they wanted to achieve was able to achieve. I think that's really, kicking in for these consumers. Also, I'd like to just give you a different side of a different aspect. Look at movie marketing or brand marketing, right? Or for that matter, even the music studios that are sort of trying to, push their music platforms. There is a sonic branding that's happening for a music video. There is a hook step on a particular dance move that's happening. There's a movie dialogue that's getting created. And movie marketing itself is a brand. Itself is a brand promotion. That's allowing them to make a lot more money. A lot of brands are now investing into it. Look at what Pepsi did. Look at what Parachute did something called as a jumpy move. They created some sort of hook step. But I think it's now giving them a lot more avenues to even monetize and become overnight famous.
No, absolutely, Vishal. And just sort of extending this, right? So, and we have Emmanuel as well, who who is an advertiser and who sort of wants who is let's say spending dollars on some of the digital media. Now, if you look at where the advertisers are looking to today put their money, right? So Facebook and Google have been the default for the longest period of time.
Absolutely.
But are the platforms looking beyond Facebook, Google, or is there just too much noise beyond that, and you would rather stick to Facebook and Google as a platform, rather than going to short form video platforms or other OTT platforms to start advertising?
Sure. So clearly, what's happening, like you rightly said, we're living in this duopoly market. It's heavily reliant on the walled gardens, and I'm now referring to the giants, which is either a Facebook or a Google, and that's largely where the investments also been moving ahead, right? Uh, will that dependency reduce? Maybe not for the time being. Maybe unless and until there's a massive scale. Of course, the numbers are speaking for itself, and it's really scaling up in a big way. On the other hand, while the critical mass is getting created, these platforms are giving a lot more options of building reach and frequency. So that's an engine which is already working for most of the brands. So you look at any of the media plans currently, you possibly may have a single digit out of the overall investment into these platforms, right? But that's increasing day by day, keeping in mind the kind of objectives that the brand's looking for at the end of it. Second thing is, apart from just the reach and frequency, obviously brands are spending a lot more on making sure that there is an engagement with the consumer and there's a virality for whatever content that they really produce. Now, in pure marketing terms, let me put it this way: there is always a marketing approach which comes with the top of the funnel. There is a middle of the funnel, and then there is a hard-working bottom of the funnel. You obviously need a reach and frequency at the top of the funnel to keep recruiting more and more consumers. You need to be present at the middle of the funnel where you're really building a stronger concentration. You're really engaging with the consumers, and which is again helping them spread a word of mouth. And obviously at the bottom is your commerce, or you want to call it as a sales or a lead gen or whatever that stuff. Now it's already created a lot of products in the top funnel and this and the middle of the funnel, and it's working fairly well. And I see this share only increasing in the coming years.
Thanks, Vishal. Emmanuel, would you like to add to this, right? So what kind of channels, let's say, do you use today in terms of digital dollars? What was it, let's say 2-3 years back, and how do you see it evolving in the next 2 to 3 years?
Yeah. So if you were to look at the soul of the media, be it the last 3 decades or the 3 decades going into the future, I think the soul of the media will always remain with whatever tag you want to call it. It's going to be the cost factor. Now, whether you're going to put it on digital, whether you put it on mainstream media, end of the day, what is the reach and what is the cost at which I'm reaching that pool of audience is going to be the sole factor. How much ever there's going to be artificial intelligence, how much ever going to be various data sciences and data lakes that's going to come in. End of the day, what is the brand investing upon and what is the ROI is something which till date, even at this scale of technology and everything, there is not one single concrete answer which any advertiser has come. Even if it be an advertiser which is spending 3,000 crores, or even be it an advertiser who's spending 50 crores, so that remains a constant factor. Answering your question, if you were to if you have to take a step back, if you see the calendar of years, one can say that there have been about 6 to 7 specifically identified generations which has gone by, and we are the most lucky ones because we having born in the Gen X period, which is the 80s and the 90s. We have seen what is called as the silent generation, which used to be the 1960s or the 1950s. We have seen the booming generation. The boom generation is what they refer to that, which has seen a lot of industrial revolution, this, that, and everything. So we remain the bridge who has seen both what used to be our grandma told stories to us. We have also seen the current most difficult target, which is the Zen X and the Zen Alpha. Now, it's going to take quite some time before decision power will be given to the Zen Alpha per se, because they would be in the schools and the college levels. But Generation Gen is supposed to be the one who's going to be the decision makers in the next couple of years. Now, if you see a stat, for example, the Gen Z is good, the Gen Z, or what do you call it as, they don't have, they have a ad block. 80% of them have ad blocks on. They don't believe in traditional, almost 47%. I read it in somewhere in a streaming platform called Streamo through the research papers. About 47% don't trust traditional medium at all. They are very, very confined, very specific in the choices and everything. Now, to answer your question, where do I? So currently, yes, we do a predominantly multi-channel of investments, be it on the e-commerce marketplaces like the Amazons of the world. We also do a little bit of lead generation. So I wouldn't say being a very nascent company, which has just declared, Kevin K has just declared a 2.0 strategy where e-commerce is going to be on a accelerated growth. And to facilitate the accelerated growth, there's going to be a lot of spends that's going in. But if you had to ask a question, 3 years or 2 years down the line, when there's going to be a global norm, which is going to be introduced called as complete eradication of cookies, then what is it that you have? So the way I see is that content, given the current trend of personal entertainment, so I would say more than personal entertainment, personal handheld device entertainment is going to be the order of the day. So if you were to smartly not be intrusive to this audience, which is the Generation Z audience, we take an avatar of a supportive role. So today you would see inevitably most of us have got, or most of the masses have got acquainted to this whole thing called as scratch cards, gratification scratch cards, which you get on Google Pay, you get on multiple, where even knowing that you might not be lucky, you might get a message like better luck next time, you're still in a constant need of gratification. So I think anything which will have a content, content is where I'm sure all of you will accept that becoming a corporate story wala has been the trend in the last say about less than a 10-year period, where the CEOs and the CXOs of the corporate have moved on to become storytellers. So they don't make presentations. Instead, they make the whole data science and the insights look in such a impactful delivery. It strikes across the board in a very short possible time. So to me, I think more than the platform, I think the content, especially the short format content, a very aesthetic integration into that message for your brand. And today, I believe that people, especially the Generation Z people, is something that if they find a product or service or a brand which is for a specific purpose and they are being very authentic to serve that purpose, the trust building factor is quite rampant and quite long lasting. If you're going to fake it up, if you're going to be on the face kind of a messaging, so it's a mixed baggage of the content, the storytelling, and the selection of the cost effective platforms or something would be the way forward is my point of view.
Got it. So, Vijay, I'll just come to you to sort of add to that as a, again, more from a marketeer perspective. So, obviously, you have, let's say, evaluated multiple channels. You continue to evaluate multiple channels in terms of what works best in terms of spending ad dollars. So, what is it, that you feel is good with the social video format as an advertiser? And also, what is it that you feel is is a challenge, right? So for example, a lot of times we get asked, that there is no awareness of which platform is doing well or which platform is not doing well. So while I want to spend money on short form video, I just don't know which one to go for, right? Or there could be other challenges, right? So is like, what are the things that go well in favor of short form video as an advertiser, and what are the things that you think they need to do better?
Yeah. So I think the biggest advantage really, and it's very relevant for our business, is that at the end of the day, the center of this entire ecosystem is the actual content creator. And like the graph that you showed when you were presenting the paper, that there is this entire belly of creators who potentially could become either, and in our world, they could become resellers or affiliates. In brands' voice, they could become ambassadors. They have influence networks and really leveraging them beyond simply using the medium as an advertising medium, right? Can you really use it as a co-creation medium? If I have to, take a TV analogy, there is TV spots that you run, but there are also associations and integrations that you do, right? So if you had the lead of any of these platforms, that's typically how we use them. If they suddenly become partners in business, and you don't even have to look far, you have to look at Pinduoduo in China. You have the Douyin and Taobao relationship, which is TikTok in China and Taobao, which is their lead e-commerce players relationship, where the manner of value creation completely changes from it being a push media platform to it being a business partnership across the platform, the creator, and the business. And that's a unique value opportunity that exists, which is just started to kind of take off in India. When it comes on to the challenges, I think there are two key challenges. The first one is, as advertisers, we are used to either the television world, where you have mass reach at probably very, very low cost, and digital still a very, very far distance away from that, right? And hopefully, as we start seeing more penetration and more usage, that will be addressed. But as of now, that is a challenge. Or we are used to the Googles and the Facebooks of the world, where there is very deep data led targeting that makes these platforms efficient. Today, the short video formats, given where they are in their journey, right, are straddling both worlds, wherein there are roadblocks, hashtag challenges, etc., which are trying to give you massive reach. Uh, and those are honestly a coin flip, because if it does work out, it works well for brands. But if it doesn't, you're stuck with relatively low quality user generated content, which may not have necessarily heavy branding. On the other end of the spectrum, you have minimal targeting possibilities, you have demographics, etc. But the kind of world that you're used to with a Google, Facebook, etc., you don't know that. Like we were one of the early partners with TikTok when they launched in India, right? And just getting content tagging right, getting brand safety in place, being able to have your ad squeezed in between two fashion videos is what we wanted to do, right? Having those pieces, which is a simple click of a button on YouTube, took some time for us to reach. So those are really the challenges, but really the opportunity to create a new paradigm, the manner in which consumers engage with the business is where the big opportunity is. And then we have learning curves as with any platform, and really on the advertising and the right use case for these platforms are pieces that we still have to figure out.
That's very exciting. I think few points that I think even we had probably not analyzed that depth. So I think one, you said that it is not just a media to advertise. It is also a broader channel which you can actually collaborate with to get the right kind of messaging out in a much deeper manner. I think that in my mind is very exciting and opens up a whole lot of opportunities.
Yeah. Like
And
Shopify and TikTok globally, right? That big
yeah,
partnership is
yeah.
all about unlocking that value in the consumer.
Exactly, exactly. No, I agree. I think that's very exciting. And the second is that from a challenge perspective, it's not about the audience. We know that there is an audience, we know there is engagement. Uh, it's just about being able to figure out the best way to work with them, or the best way to get the best value out of it, right? How do we tag the content right so that we know that we are getting the right kind of placement of the ad? And I think that's very exciting. And Vishal, would just like you to add your view if if there are similar kind of things that you have seen as a digital media agency, or are there additional points that other things that need to be better before it becomes a mass media of advertising?
Sure. So I think Vijay has really covered it very, very well, very crisp, and he's like, sort of covered it from even from a funnel marketing perspective to even from the content and creator strategy perspective. But I totally agree with Vijay, because I think it got a birth saying that this is a platform where I'm going to create creators, and brands have now an opportunity to really engage with my consumers and get your communication, get viral and stuff like that in any format. It sort of came in, it said that, look, I am also an advertising platform, which is a paid media platform, because I have a user base of 170 million, 200 million. This is a valid user base because I'm giving the right TGs, your males, females, tier 2, tier 3, right? That added a lot more value. Now, as we speak more, these influencers are also becoming not just the influencers, but also leading to sales. So somewhere it's going to start playing a role there as well. Some publishers have also now coming out with their ROAS based platform, in-app view based platform. They drive users to digital sales of point contact, right? So layers are getting formed. Me I don't know whether if I can call it as a very, very nascent stage, but most of them are just about 6 months old, and they're trying to build newer and newer products. But my sense is, given a little more time, which is maybe another 6 months to about a year, I think they probably will have some of the best products. And this, in a way, is also great for the industry, because then you don't have to be a dependent on just a walled garden sort of a format, or and there are more and more avenues where whether it's a top of the funnel or bottom of the funnel, you can really put a right number to it, track it, input versus outcomes, and then say that yes, it's working well for me as well, right?
No, thanks, Vishal. I think that makes a lot of sense. So, what I'll do is we have like just 5 minutes left. So, I'll take one question from the list of questions that is there. I think more from a advertising and monetization angle, I think the question which is most relevant is how much do you worry on, as advertisers, how much do you worry on brand safety, and how do you solve for this on short video formats? I think Vijay, you had also started trying to type an answer to this question, but anyway, I think this is one which also caught my eye. So, any of you who want to take this up about brand safety and how you would deal with it on the short video format part of things?
Yeah, I can just give my one bit of it, two bits of it. Look, definitely it's a concern, because uh, these platforms are not stringent brand safety controls. They don't have the brand safety controls. It may be moderated well. It'll probably make sure that they'll eliminate some sort of politically sensitive content or a terrorism related content, or maybe somewhere wherever there's shown some skin. But there is a lack of control over the content which is getting created by the consumers. So that fear, which obviously a brand will always have somewhere, But as I said, you give them a little more time, maybe another 6 months, 7 months. The more and more technology that they bring in, I'm sure they're going to have their sort of safety controls in place, because I think these are all serious players. They're heavily invested. They're there to stay for a long period. So I'm sure in the coming times, you'll probably have a lot more brand safety products coming out of them, and it's going to be a safe platform to be there.
Vijay, Emmanuel, any points you want to add
Yeah.
on this?
Adding to that, I think the algorithm which is being integrated in today's world is something which is mind blowing. I mean, until recent time, I was so dependent on Google Lens for me to translate content in a language which you can't read, maybe a Kannada or a Marathi. Google Lens just helps you to click a picture, serve it up, and then you have what it translates to. But least did I know there are things like Yandex, which is a Russian-based Google of the other region, where it not only translates the whole thing, but it also transliterates. So what I'm trying to tell you is that the virtual auditor as a concept is something which is coming to a very large play in terms of remote, ever since the work from office and everything. So to have a control on content being posted, even by a UGC, I think it's going to be a very short time that it's going to play a vital role in restricting what can be shown and what cannot be. So I think there are multiple organizations and multiple tech companies which are working for this, and I'm sure we'll all be surprised to see a result in the near future.
Vijay, do you want to add to that at the last? And we have just
Yeah.
2 minutes.
So, see, there is always going to be this challenge with any UGC platform. There is like brands love context. You want to be contextual to the user, but at the same time, you also want control, right? And there is a trade-off. Understanding that this is not a broadcast medium, it's a place where users are creating, users are answering, users are probably co-creating with you, means that there is a little loss of control. Of course, there is the platform that is trying to do the most from an algorithmic perspective. I think what we also as advertisers need to know is that here are a few challenges, at least in the short run. How can we circumvent these challenges? Because even for a platform like YouTube, right, even till date, we do see some content pieces slip out of their algos. On a platform like Instagram, you know that every time there is an influencer creating content, there are trolls on the comment feed. So realizing that this is the ecosystem that you operate in, there are trade-offs. Some of the larger pieces like nudity, like politics, like religious sentiments can be addressed, but brand safety is a lot more than that. And trying to identify the means in which you advertise on these platforms, knowing that these are the trade-offs, is a key challenge for marketers, which I think individually we have to solve for.
Excellent. Thank you, Vijay, for the nuanced view, and thank you, Vishal and Emmanuel, for all of the inputs. Thanks so much. It was a pleasure to host all of you as a part of this panel discussion.